Jenny-Jaymes and our sidekick, Christian Cano, partner in crime, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen's sidekick. Welcome to Two Queers in a Truck. Hi y'all.
See you soon. Good morning, everybody. It is another edition of Two Queers in a Truck. And I'm here with Christian, my partner in crime. It's already April 26th, too, so if you're seeing this drop live, good morning. April 26th. I mean, we just burned through...
It's our last Wednesday of April.
Wow. April, like COVID does through a Republican National Convention. I mean, wow. I mean, you know, it's just unbelievable. I don't know how the pacing of this year has gotten away from us, but literally, we're almost at the end of our fourth month. A third of our year is gone. Like, it seems surreal. Just like 2020 and 2021 and really 2022 seemed to be multiple years inside a year. Mm-hmm. It seemed like dog years. You know, like dogs age 7 years for every 1 year approximately. It seems like the last 3 years were like dog years, and this year it seems like, okay, here's a different part of the 2020s. Let's do an accelerated year. And I'm not the only one that says that. It just seems like it's going by really fast.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we just don't have a major election cycle this year because we've had two major election cycles the last 2 out of the 3 years.
Yeah.
Or hey, I mean, in a world of fascism, things do go faster. But anyway, we'll start.
Hey, what's the name of the show?
I said it already.
Oh, did you really? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll test your hearing later. No,
that's right.
I think you're still asleep.
Okay.
2 Queers in a Truck, and just in case people missed it the first time, like Christian did. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning. Good morning.
If you're gonna white nationalists, you're gonna lose. The Charlottesville Nazi terrorist cowards started getting indicted this last week. They haven't made all the names public yet, but they have done 3 names, which I didn't write down because I really don't want to platform Nazis. They're the same people that according to Trump, was good people on both sides. As these white nationalists chanted, Jews will not replace us, as one of their bullshit lines from the alt-right, with these crazy replacement theories and all this stuff. And I'm like, what? I wonder where the mentality says Jews will not replace us, besides the glaring anti-Semitism. I'm like, I don't think demographically, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think there's nearly enough Jewish people by faith or by ethnicity in this country to replace people. Like all of a sudden, what are we going to do? Make, like a comic book movie, we're going to make all the white Christians disappear. We're going to replace them with Jews in this country. I mean, the messaging is so stupid that only dumb people would take that seriously, which is Republicans. But 2, just how weird that is how you would be walking through a campus with a tiki torch going, Jews will not replace us. I mean, it's a horrible message. It's a message we've heard before, over there in Germany about 100 years ago. But I think it's just so bizarre. The people in the 21st century, predominantly young white males, are so fragile. But I guess we've also seen this in the Bud Light controversy. They put a trans spokeswoman on a cute little Instagram and TikTok video, put her face on a 6-pack of beer. They're not mass producing her likeness on the beers. That was just a example. So Budweiser produced a whopping 6 beers, a 6-pack, and gave it to Dylan for doing the commercial, plus a sack of money, for doing the commercial for them to kick off March Madness. And then the real madness happened. And I compare and contrast these two incidents, the fake outrage of mostly white men just losing it and being big old queens and throwing away beers and just go, and I'll show you, if you put a homosexual on my beer, make it gay, I'll show you by buying beer and then throwing it away and replacing it with Coors Light, which is the gayest beer out there. But I'll show you, I'm not gay. And in fact, there's a guy, I don't even remember what state he's from, but I think he's up around Chicago. And he might be one of those weirdos in Wisconsin that just freaks out over everything. But of course, the grift is real. This guy created a commercial. He's created a white label beer that is like this anti-woke, pro-straight, pro-white nationalist beer. And he's buying it from a local bottler, probably Bud, probably Anheuser-Busch. And he's putting this crazy label on it. And it's basically like Trump steaks. It's the grift is real. It's kind of crazy. And of course, he can't bottle it yet. So he's getting people to pre-buy. It's a total cost of like $35. And I guess the whole point is how fragile straight men are. That they've got to have a straight beer. Now, if there's a gay beer, when there really isn't a gay beer. But I saw this video clip, and I may have sent it to you, of this one white guy taking beer out of a beer cooler in a Walmart and just smashing the beer. And the beer is Bud Light. I don't know. I think it's a really bizarre reaction for a lot of straight men to lose it over a rainbow. And I mean, this subject's gonna come up again on the show on a frequent Nazi TikToker that has gotten in trouble with the law and is actually on probation. And you probably will recognize the name. But is it just weird, us both being in the queer community and looking at straight people and going, "Are y'all all right?" I mean, you frequent sports bars when you can. I mean, have any of your buddies reached out about the gay beer controversy, or
they don't even know about it?
That's hilarious.
When I went last week, I ordered a Bud Light because as soon as I walk in, they always just hand me a Miller Lite. And I said, oh, hold on a second. Bud Light. She goes, what? And I said, oh, I'll explain it to you later. She goes, and then she came over. She goes, what are you talking about? And I told her. She said, I didn't know that. And no one said anything. I think this is one of those things that unless you're engaged, you know about it, and it upsets you. If you don't, the rest of the world has no clue and doesn't care.
Yeah, I think it's it's a bunch ado about nothing, and some of the conservative pundits are trying to make it look like Bud Light's about to go out of business because their stock price fluctuated in April, which is a big delay because this started in early March. It started at the kickoff of March Madness, which was like the second weekend in March, and what it was that they InBev, the parent company of all these beer companies, including Bud Light, had showed some of their last 2 years of comparable sales, and were doing long-term projections, and it didn't quite match what the industry thought it would be, so their stocks dipped a little bit. And so the conservatives go, see, Dylan's the problem. Dylan's the problem. And even industry and stock experts said, "Now, I'd be a hell of a delayed reaction for stock prices. The stock market doesn't care if a trans woman's on a can." Is at the end of the day, InBev's market share and some of its sales had shifted in 2021 and 2022. And there was a lot of reasons for it, brand restructuring, worldwide shifts in economies, because they sell in probably 50 or 60 different countries. They probably represent 40 different countries, South American brands, Central American brands, Asian brands. Like they own beer brewing facilities and brands all over the flipping world. They're almost like the old British Empire. The sunset doesn't set on InBev anymore. And so I think it's very, very bizarre. But the second topic that we're already 3 minutes into, Lion Fox settles with Dominion for $787 million, almost $1 billion, just so that Tucker Carlson and all those people don't have to tell the truth on the stand. A lot of people are mad at Dominion because a lot of people on the progressive side wanted to see Murdoch and all those people have to take the stand and go under oath and tell the truth about all their lying and go through the high drama. I would have loved to seen it. I would love to see Tucker just blinking his eyes and almost look like he's going to cry, maybe even do a Kavanaugh cry, throw his head back and be a big old queen. End of the day, Dominion got paid. And I mean, that's one of the reasons you do a defamation suit is to prove your point, but also get paid back the lost revenue they got from the defamation. And also, a lot of their employees got threatened, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of trauma pay, or at least I hope so. A lot of QAnon crazies and far-right crazies really got aggressive with the company in Dominion because the Fox ran such a hardcore propaganda campaign against them, so they wouldn't look stupid, because they early reported that Trump won Arizona on election night in 2020, and that was false. They early reported it. And so they started coming up with this narrative that night of saying, well, maybe it's Dominion and maybe the voting machines and blah, 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 and rolled out this false narrative. And then, of course, the conspiracy crazies of the alt-right and the alt-right propaganda machine started churning the voting machines now are rigged against Trump that weren't counting Republican votes. And this was part of the big conspiracy that's led to all kinds of rabbit holes. But, this is one of the things that I think, first of all, Fox News is now in trouble because they've got another lawsuit with another voting machine company that's about to come to trial that's even a larger one. It's $2.5 billion against Fox News. So, hey, I kind of like it. I like the fact that Dominion, that's not a partisan company, it's not a partisan group, but it's saying, hey, if you're going to say this and it hurts our business, we're going to hold you accountable. And I think so much of the alt-right needs to be held accountable in these type of lawsuits. Is that if you're going to lie and you're going to disparage a company or a group of people or whatever, pull the fuckers in court. You know, we're up against our first break, and we'll be right back with some more Two Queers in a Truck. Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in a Truck on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye, boo. Happy time. And we are back. But I think one of the ways to hold Republicans accountable is to sue their support systems. The NRA, every time there's a mass shooting, the gun that's used, the manufacturer, should be sued. NRA should be sued. Sue them out of oblivion because they're responsible. And if you start doing that, they have to spend money on lawyers. They have to spend money on payouts and settlements because they'll always settle. So why not sue them for $5 billion? Like they did with Alex Jones, like they did with Fox News. If you're going to create a dangerous environment where people get hurt or killed or damages their livelihood, why not? They do it. They always do it. And Trump is, in his business endeavors, he made a living at lawsuits. He spent decades in court on the civil side. Now he's going to spend the next decade in court for criminal shit, but that's beside the point. According to QAnon, the Dalai Lama took the red pill. The Q nuts, that have been talking about the pedophile cabal and all, like Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and Microsoft's founder Bill Gates all live off the blood of babies, and they have pedophile rings out of pizza places and all that. The Dalai Lama got in a little bit of controversy over a very inappropriate joke. The Dalai Lama is known to be a jokester, a prankster, and a goofball. And at this one function, he asked this kid to suck his tongue. And it was just a joke. It didn't actually happen. It was just a little innocent kiss on the cheek. But it was a playful thing. The kid's family didn't really get upset because they kind of understood the Dalai Lama. People around the Dalai Lama know his sense of humor. But immediately the QAnon said, this is the sign. This is the sign for our cult to be right. And that this is our ultimate red pill, referring to the Matrix. You take the red pill and go into reality, or you take the blue pill and go back in the Matrix and sleep ever after. But they think this is proof. And big QAnon nut, Liz Crokin, that's been a very visible QAnon supporter and cultist and all that, is just trying to prove that this is part of the big worldwide conspiracy that all these powerful progressive people are all a bunch of pedophiles. And I don't know if you read anything about this, Christian, but it's just like...
It's the first time I heard about this.
I actually saw it on a news feed, and I saw the story about the Dalai Lama and the outrage, and it was an insanely inappropriate joke, in a time when pedophile rings are in the news, both on the truthful side, as we're seeing white Christian nationalist Republicans getting arrested for pedophilia all the time, and Fox News isn't covering this. But at the same time, when a Dalai Lama like that makes an insanely inappropriate joke, they're going like, see, Tucker Carlson has the rage machine going and say, yeah, the Dalai Lama is this big time pedophile. He's in charge of, whatever. I think it's super bizarre how the rage, and again, I use the Bud Light thing as an example. You went into a bar, they didn't even know anything about it. It's a much ado about nothing, but that's all the Republicans have. They have to create fake crises and fake outrage to keep their party looking like they're doing something. They're literally doing nothing but hurting people and to attack American citizens. And it's just so bizarre, in the alt-right. It's either a war on wokeness, and now some of the Republicans are trying to walk that back. They're fighting Disney. DeSantis last week said we need to build a federal prison right next door to Disney. I'm like, A, I don't know if there's any open land, but B, why would you build a federal prison next to an amusement park? I mean, I guess so that maybe Trump can get a day pass when he's in that federal prison to go over to Disney. I don't know. Super bizarre. But this is the topic that I alluded to earlier about Q nuts and Proud Boys. Nazi Ethan Schmidt, that lives in Arizona, went to this pet adoption thing. I don't know if he purposely went there. It was just in a mall. And he lost his mind over this dog toy. There's this little fluffy dog toy that was shaped in a heart. And it was rainbow colored. And supporting, it just said pride on it. That's, and so he grabbed one, and he had his little camera phone. He was recording himself, and he goes up to this little pet adoption lady that's working the little booth there, and he goes, "Do you think dogs are gay? Do you think there's gay dogs?" Just outraged. This guy's a big old queen. He's just itching to come out. And she goes, "Well, I don't know even how to answer that." And she basically just blows him off. She goes back to working. And he just mumbled off some other nonsensical things. And she just basically dismissed the whole thing and just went back to work and then walked off from him. Defeated, he takes the little rainbow heart, just throws it on the table. He walks off, and he's, how a lot of the like DeSantis does the same thing. They start blinking really fast. They look like they're about to cry. And they just start mumbling nonsensical stuff. That's what he does. This is what he ends up doing. And one of the reasons he has to is before he used to be aggressive, and he got arrested and convicted of harassment and stalking people, and he's on probation, so he can't do his old tactics. So this young lady basically just stonewalled him, and he walks off mumbling to other people standing around, "This is just unacceptable. This is just unacceptable." And just with little queen tears just forming up in his little queen eyes. And, to answer his question, yes, 1,500 different animal species have homosexual sex and homosexual mating. Just so people know, 1,500 different species besides humans have homosexual relations. Also, other species can also transition. Some species can change from female to male. Some change from male to female, depending on who they are and what kind of makeup and evolutionary thing that they've gone through. So yes, trans animals exist. Gay dogs exist. Gay animals exist in the animal kingdom. Homosexuality is not unique to humans. And yes, LGBT people exist. And to answer your question, in the human species. But it's interesting. There's also a Scientific American article came out. I don't know how long it's been out, but one of this article specifically talks about, are homophobes really closeted gay homosexuals? And the article goes on to make some very compelling points about people in the closet that are so angry that gay people exist. And again, the theme is just like the Bud Light controversy. How many of these men that were slamming beers and throwing beers away and crying about gay beers and all that, how many of them really are closet gays. What do you think? Is your mic on?
I don't. Yeah, I don't think they care about Bud Light. I think everything that's happened over the last year and a half is it's a sign that they are so their constant outrage about everything. It's someone who's drowning, and
Yeah.
it is the perfect sign of someone who's having a panic attack, someone who's drowning, someone who's scared, all the things that show how weak they really are, that they have to scream so loud because them talking normally in their mind is not getting the attention that they have had even 2 years ago. And so today they see this is over. I mean, they are literally, to me, they have waved the white flag. And I think that's the reason, and you and I had this conversation before we start taping your show. I think that's one of the reasons, Jenny, that there are a lot of people that see all of this that's happening and go, well, I expect that. They're not surprised. And the bad news is, and we talk this all the time, it's like a double-edged sword where I'm happy that they're waving the white flag, but I'm also saddened because people are going to be hurt until they give up. You know what I mean? Because and I don't see them as giving up.
Yeah. And then I want to finish that fight. Okay. We are up against our second break, and we'll be right back with some more Two Queers and a Truck.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers and a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers and a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
And I think your point's completely valid. I think what you're saying is that, and I'm talking, and I think you're talking basically about regular people that vote Republican, regular people, the Proud Girls and the QAnon nuts and the tinfoil hat wearing people on that side of the ledger that are going, fuck, we know our cult leader lost. But we don't want to admit it. We don't, because that would be admitting that we are wrong as a group of people.
Yes,
and conceding that to the Mango Jesus, that this orange ball of goo and lies was wrong the whole time. That America just finally got tired of him. And when he saw him handle a pandemic like a 5-year-old child, that may be an insult to 5-year-old children, because at least 5-year-old children usually have empathy, which he doesn't. He had that surgically removed years ago and replaced it with dog shit. I mean, you talk about a horrifically bad human being in Donald J. Trump that has led a movement of tyranny and fascism in this country that's exceeded him. That's now spawned even worse human beings like Governor Dick Suckus, Hot Wheels Abbott, and others, Kristi Noem in South Dakota or North Dakota, whatever bumfuck state that she presides over, that has led to this weird, toxic movement of cowardice. And it's a very bizarre movement. It's one that they see the writing on the wall that white people will be the largest minority by 2026. The Generation Z and the young millennials are going to completely cancel out the baby boomers and Generation X's voting power in a matter of years.
But doesn't it feel like that's the way it seems right now, Jenny? It's like the boomers and the Gen Xers have basically said, and the young millennials and the baby Z's are basically saying, we'll just change it. There's no sense of urgency from anyone. And the only ones that are outraged are the ones that are losing. And they're in a way, they're almost like they're so upset because we're not upset.
Well, I think it's part that. I think part of it is that we've had some significant wins, like the presidency in 2020, the Senate in 2020, and then we reaffirmed our win in 2022, that they took back the House, but by the thinnest of margins. Compare and contrast when the Republicans took back the House in 2010, they won by 63. They swapped out 63 seats, which was a record number at that time. It was a massive win for the Republicans 2 years into the Obama presidency. It completely changed the Obama presidency from then on. It was a devastating loss for Democrats. And they expected that same thing to happen last year, and it just didn't happen. It just fizzled because Trump is just not a winning subject. He's not as powerful of an influence on the electorate as they thought he was.
Jenny, you remember the feeling? You remember the feeling that we had after Trump won, as Democrats or people who didn't think he had any chance. There was this disbelief. There was just can't believe it happened. There was the realization that there were a lot of stupid people. It was we were all coming to the grip. That's what I think they're going through. After the 2020 thing didn't swing, they were yelling up for a whole year and a half, the red wave, and we even thought, well, there's going to be a little red wave. We were a little nervous. We were surprised. Holy crap. It didn't happen. And then we've been seeing these elections happening in these red states with the Supreme Court that you mentioned, with the other thing, the gun bill, all that kind of stuff is passing. I think they're going, and you mentioned it last week about Kellyanne Conway, or what do you call her? Kellyanne Beavis, Kellyanne Beavis.
Conway.
I think
she looks like the twin sister of Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, I think they're going, you know what? We've got a problem. And they're what they don't want the most, Jenny, white men, their biggest fear is being humiliated. They will do anything as long as they're not humiliated. And what they don't want is to be, yes, they will do anything possible to be humiliated.
I say it's a twofold thing, is that older white men, especially on the conservative side of the ledger, have always had power in this country, and now they're seeing that erode. And they're white female enablers that always make excuses for them, always cover for them, and you see that a lot in politics. Don't know what to do, and so they trot out the Kellyanne Conways, the Christian Gnomes, the Bobberts, the MTGs, that basically come up that are being the white knights, being the white saviors. That it's typically a male role, and I don't think Republicans see the optics of the fact that they're coming in being the swinging male hero is the women of the Republican Party in a very embarrassing way, because one, all four of those idiots sound like the idiots that they really are. And they come in almost a masculine way, toting guns. MTG's got these muscles, and she walks like a little Popeye or something. And Christy Gnomes, either flexing with a gun in front of Mount Rushmore, or we're going to show them, and we're going to beat back these people. I don't buy. And then you got Tucker Carlson making weird, mildly gay pornos, without the sex, but with UV lights hitting men in the testicles and sweaty wet lifting, and I'm like, I'm pretty queer, but it takes one to know one. I look at Tucker Carlson, I go, the only thing missing is his boyfriend. Like, it just is very bizarre. He was so excited about this, I think he called it the death of men or whatever. It was just, you remember that video from a year or two ago. But it literally reminds me of the late 90s, early 2000s gay men video bars where they have just these, it's not gay sex on there, but it's like men lifting and cutting wood without the
leather
shirts
bars
on.
and
it was just like those videos. So I figured one of Tucker Carlson's gay assistants created the video and said, well, this is what men are to me. Tucker Carlson said, well, it looks good to me too. I love it. And away we go. The last subject, and I skipped the subject about moms with tyranny, and I'll just carry it over to next week. It's a pretty good one. It's a little bit of it's a serious PSA that I want to do. And I'm talking to mostly like restaurant owners and managers right now about delivery packaging. And I can tell you that at least some, and I'm talking about the packaging that they do for delivery drivers. As somebody that's done that work, I can tell you which kinds of cuisines do really well. Ironically, especially locally owned Asian restaurants must take an architecture design class because they do it perfectly. Like, it is amazing. There's
cardboard on the bottom.
Everything. And I mean, you can't tip this stuff over. You can put 5 pounds of soup in there, hot soup, and you won't splash anything. The other company that does really well, believe it or not, and this is for delivery drivers only, is McDonald's. Ever since the pandemic started, they've created they even put their drinks in there. They build in little cup holders. I watched them construct this. They've gotten really good. And it's pretty amazing. Because first of all, McDonald's hardly does anything right. Except for their fries, of course. But the packaging on a McDonald's deal is a modern marvel. And I'll tell you who does a crap job consistently, and it doesn't matter who it is, it's Mexican food places, Tex-Mex places. They just throw shit in a plastic bag like they're going to take their laundry to a laundromat. And I'm talking about fucking hot soup, hot chilies. They don't give a shit. They'll throw a Mexican Coke right on top of it. And I mean, it's swinging around, and there's fucking greasy red sauce, and it all smells really good, but it doesn't smell so good on the top of your seat of your car or in a delivery.
It doesn't travel well either. It doesn't travel when you
not at all.
It's all soggy.
You usually have to sit there and kind of balance it, and you have to kind of chingadarius it and bounce it. You've got a couple water bottles up there that you drink on all day. You have to engineer the stuff for them because they're too whatever. They just don't care, And I picked something up yesterday, and you take your lives in your own hand, and it's not just one specific Mexican restaurant here in town. They all do it. Even the nice fancy ones, like the little taco place in South Park that's a really nice restaurant. But their Italian company does it too. So they own multiple chains in here, and they're little upscale, elevated Mexican and Italian places. They all use these cheap ass plastic sacks. I'm like, if McDonald's can package things right, talk to their sack sales and say, how the hell did y'all get it right? And how did these different Asian and Thai places get it right? How are we putting these? And I'm talking about the cheapest of the cheap, flimsiest plastic bags that plastic grocery bags have more backbone and spine than these bags. And they're putting some of these meals are like, they're buying enough food that's like $100, $150, and they're putting it in a bag that literally has no reinforcement. And there's like entrees sliding everywhere, and it's kind of crazy. And so you have to, as a delivery driver, have to adapt and overcome. But I wanted to do a PSA so any restaurant owners or influencers that happen to watch the show and have made it to this very end of the show, please God, either go buy an Asian restaurant in your area and learn from them, or McDonald's. Order a delivery from McDonald's and like photograph the industrial strength paper sack that they use and the cardboard there. Because friggin' if McDonald's can package food during a global pandemic, for fuck's sake, so can you. That is
I swear that's how they come up with the McDonald's meals. It must be the fact, because that's when yeah. Well, I mean, whenever I'm traveling, or we're traveling, I mean, whenever I'm traveling, I'll go through a McDonald's on purpose because it's easy to manage when you're driving.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. They're brilliant. I mean, their food has almost 0.0 nutritional value whatsoever. Their fries, I swear to God, have crack cocaine or meth sprinkled in them because they're so addictive. They are the best French fry on the planet. Only hot. Or if you're hungover, cold is kind of cool too. But for somebody that does such a terrible job with the healthiness of their food, and sometimes even the taste, they're packaging geniuses. So it's very bizarre. It's a very bizarre interplay of competence and incompetence. And it's just very bizarre, and I'm here for it. You know, it's crazy like we are. But anyway, we are at the end of our show. In fact, we probably even have run over just a scooch back. So if we can kick on some music, and we'll head on out. Y'all have a great week, everybody. See you in May.
Babu.
Babu. Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching Two Queers. I hope to see you soon. And have a safe and productive week. Bye, boo.
Bye, boo.